Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, it will be my 800th uploaded video since I began on YouTube a couple of years ago. And, it's a special time. I mean, I like to always commemorate every 100 videos because I never even dreamed when I began doing videos on YouTube that I would get this far. And a lot of that has to do with the interaction I have with you guys, the viewers, the friends I've made, the people who comment and take time to keep that discussion going, whatever the topic may be per video. It's just been a rewarding experience, and I love sharing that with you guys. Now, what I thought I'd do with this particular video, and it's been inspired by an article I read recently, and I can't remember from where, but all to do with Doctor Who, about basically someone's concern for future potential Doctor Who fans not knowing where to begin, especially when it comes to the classic series. And I've always been of the mind that it's a timey-wimey experience. It's to be experienced at random. You just sample what you like. You don't have to start from the very first episode and watch all the way up to current, like some people think they have to. To understand Doctor Who, you can just jump in. It's a guy in a box, time traveling with a companion. Boom, adventures happen. He saves the day. That's all you need to know. And so what I thought I'd do is mention off 8 stories from the classic series that you could pick up at random and just start watching today and hopefully enjoy. Now, I'm not going to go into synopses for these stories. I'm just going to list them by title because they're easily findable online. You can find out what they're all about. But essentially, we'll start with the first Doctor, and I'd like to recommend The Meddling Monk. This is a great story. One footnote I will say is that this is the first time, other than his granddaughter Susan, we meet someone else who is a Time Lord. Although, of course, they don't actually name them as Time Lord. That doesn't come till later in the series. For the second Doctor, I would like to recommend Tomb of the Cybermen. This is one of my all-time favorites. And not only is it a freaky story with these Cybermen, but it also carries one of the most heartening scenes I've ever seen in Doctor Who, between the second Doctor, obviously, and his companion Victoria, that I always call back to. With the third Doctor, it's definitely not his best story, but it's one that's a personal favorite of myself and my sister. That is Carnival of Monsters. Think of, basically being shrunken down to size and running around a machine, the inner workings of it with monsters inside. With the fourth Doctor, one of 2 stories which basically were one right after the other in the classic series, The Talons of Weng Chiang or The Horror of Fang Rock. These are very gothic horror feel, and with Talons, basically it kind of embodies the same kind of feel you have from classic Sherlock Holmes stories. The Doctor even walks around wearing that attire. So, moving on to the fifth Doctor, his final story, The Caves of Androzani, is always the most highly praised one, and it's with good cause. It really is compelling. With the sixth Doctor, I'd probably go with Mark of the Rani. I mean, that's the one that I felt he was most effective in, at least before Trial of a Time Lord. And I felt like he was most Doctor-like. Most of what you hear about Colin Baker's Sixth Doctor is that he wasn't really Doctor-like, and I think he very much was in this story. With the Seventh Doctor, I would probably choose Remembrance of the Daleks, because if you ever watch the very first episode of Doctor Who ever, An Unearthly Child, they go back to the Coal Hill School where it all began, where his granddaughter Susan was attending, and it's just a great, thing to watch. And finally, of course, with the Eighth Doctor, I'd have to recommend the only time he's ever been on screen, the 1996 TV movie. It's a, pretty poor story, but Paul McGann is what makes it worth watching. And basically, he's gone on to have one of the most, you know, long, in the history of Doctor Who, careers playing the Doctor in audio adventures and comics. They're based on his character. And so these are just a few stories you can pick up today and enjoy classic Doctor Who. And I'm sure that by the end of them, you will. And so this is my 800th video. I hope for another 800 maybe. And I hope you're all doing well. I thank you all for being with me on this journey. And I'll catch you all later. Peace.